Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 25th episode of the Sit Down Podcast. It's been a while since we've done this. I think I haven't recorded or published one, since September 17th. So we're going on 3 weeks that I haven't made a podcast episode. And, planning everything with the charity streams and all that kind of took a lot of it. But been busy, man. They had me working a lot. I don't want to get into it too much right now, but it's just me this episode, guys. Just me and a mic. Some gameplay in the background. You're going to be seeing Trepang. Very exciting, fun game that I love playing. Very action paced. It feels like you're always in an action movie playing this game. There's some horror elements to it too that I had no idea about. So that always took me by surprise. We won't talk about it too much, but appreciate you guys tuning in, listening in. You're going to have me here for a while. It's just going to be me. It's going to be me unfiltered. We're going to get into a lot. I feel like the last time me and you, the listener, if you guys been watching me for a while, that we actually got to sit down and just hear me from my perspective has been a while. So there's a lot we want to get into. Timestamps are always going to be available for those of you who just want to skim through some of the things. But like I said, there's a lot that happened in the channel. There's a lot that I want to talk about. I want to clarify some things. I want to get into some things, some future plans, and kind of just talk about where my mindset is with this whole YouTube thing. Because, a lot of people, and let's get into the first subject. I feel like a lot of people are just outright quitting this space. People are losing motivation. They're upset. They're down because maybe the numbers aren't good. It feels like I hear September is already a bad month for content creation. So I can imagine that a lot of people, lose that drive very quickly when they notice that their numbers aren't as good as they usually are. This is across platforms, across genres of videos that people make, right? Because there's some people that I watch, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the stuff I watch is not Fall Guys related. Most of it is like other games. Somebody that I follow and that I watch a lot is, for example, somebody like Tacti Gamer, right? He has his feelings on how he feels about why, content creation, especially long form videos, aren't doing as well as they used to. He feels like the biggest culprit is shorts, right? Everyone's biggest gripe with shorts is that people's attention span went down. They can't really focus in on long form videos, so they feel like, that shorts are to blame. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, because again, you ask 100 different content creators, you get 100 different answers. But what I'm getting to, and to circle back to, the whole quitting content or losing motivation thing, like, just because things don't look too bright doesn't mean that you should quit, right? I don't think, like, I've been really busy these last 3 weeks. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, work has been holding me over 12 plus hour shifts. I haven't been able to do much of anything. I've been feeling pretty lethargic with it too, right? I mean, anybody else agree? Like, when you're at work, even if you're not doing much, for some reason, it just drains you. And then you want to get home and you want to do more, but like, you can't. And obviously you find the drive to end up doing, because at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. But, sometimes work, whether mentally or physically, it can be draining. And sometimes you just want to go home and relax, right? And do your own thing and kind of wind down. It's something about that 12-hour shift. It just, by the end of it, you don't want to do anything. But, I don't envy people who have kids. I feel like those guys have it difficult, because at the end of the day, you still got to feed your kids. You still have to take care of them. You still have to, do your best to support them. So, kudos to those people, my family included, right? My mom and pop couldn't have the excuses I did. So, in terms of that though, my advice to you guys, if you feel like you're losing hope, like, it's just a temporary feeling. Like, times will get better, ideas will come to you. And I feel like we put a lot of unnecessary pressure on ourselves to perform a certain way. I guess it's easier said than done, right? I'm not over here getting hundreds upon hundreds of views, or hundreds upon thousands of views, or thousands upon millions of views. But I don't know, maybe do it with the mindset of just having fun and enjoying yourself, because that's where I'm at. And I want to explain that too. Like, you may think, right? There's a lot of times, and I know you guys see it too, especially if you really, really support me. You're like, dude, your podcast don't get no views. Videos don't really get any views. And it's like, guys, like, I'm doing this because I genuinely enjoy it, Not really looking too much for that. If it happens, it happens. And we've been saying this for a while, especially me and V-Tice. Like, we're not over here trying to shake the world too much. Obviously, you know, it'd be nice, but I feel like universally, every content creator that I've spoken to, at least in the podcast, every content creator that I've seen on another podcast, when they give their own personal advice, you know, the main thing that they tell everyone is to make sure that you're actually enjoying what you do. And if you don't, that you need to stop and you need to reassess what it is that you're doing, because that's what's going to get you through the hard times, man, is having fun with it, despite what the views may look like. You know, I again, and speaking of, you know, responsibilities, I don't envy the people that do this for money or that do this as a job. That's stressful. You know, the entertainment business, which is what this is mainly, let's be honest, entertaining people, competing for the viewership of other, you know, in my case, gamers, or, you know, potential podcast listeners, etc., live stream viewers, you know, competing for viewership of those people, like, in order to make an actual living out of this. Like, man, I can't imagine the pressure, you know. And talking to Falcon Tactics is motivating, but at the same time, like, I don't envy being in this position. You know, he wants to make a living out of this. That's I feel like that would change my tone on YouTube, me personally. I do believe that there exists a world where you can have fun with what you do and make a lot of money out of it. I think that might be the case with Mr. Beast. I think he genuinely enjoys what he does. I think, at least it gives me the impression that he does, because why in the heck would someone spend as much time as he did studying the algorithm and, you know, really getting down to the nitty gritty of YouTube and being as successful as he has, had he not done what he'd done, right? I'm sure he enjoys it to some extent. I mean, we never know, right? You never know what somebody's heart lies, but to me, it looks like he enjoys it. So that would be the example I would use to explain someone who enjoys content creation and also makes money. And I think that's the golden standard you'd want. And maybe one day we'll get there, but I'm setting my expectations very low. I'm very well aware there's only so much I can provide in this space. I'm just having fun, guys. I'm just having fun. That's to summarize that whole ramble right there. All right. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning, right? You may notice a lot of thumbnails have been looking very different. I'm really getting into like the whole intricacies of Canva. And I love how Canva like has a format and a layout that allows me to like maybe think outside the box a little bit, because I'm going to tell you, man, and God bless my wife, she can come up with a thumbnail like off the hand, like just making a thumbnail off the top of your head. I can't imagine doing that. And she has numerous times. You know, when we first started, you know, she saw my thumbnails and she was like, man, let me try something. So she knew she could do better already. And I appreciate her, you know, taking the incentive to upgrade the thumbnails and make them look better. You know, trying to set up a brand with her. You know, that was my thing. I wanted to set up a brand. I want to make the thumbnails look consistent so people know, like, all right, this is Yugi. You know, this is Yugi's stream, for example, right? And now that I'm going through Canva, I'm like, oh man, I want to try this. I want to try that. So we just got an editor recently, and everybody seems to be enjoying it. I think so far we did 3 videos with him. We got another one coming out. Hopefully after you hear this, my plan is to at least upload every Tuesday, some form of like highlight video that's highly edited by our editor. Have that up every Tuesday, if possible. Again, you know, life, you know, you have plans, and, you know, it doesn't always work out the way it seems, you know. One of the best phrases I've ever heard is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So, you know, you think you have plans and then things come up, and, you know, personal responsibility is important. And everybody has their thing that's more important than this, you know. Not to veer too off subject, but, you know, if you watch V-Tice's podcast, there was a part in there where he said, never let content creation take away from time from your friends or loved ones, something along those lines, you know. And that's his priority. And that's what keeps him grounded, right? And they've been there well before YouTube ever has, right? So I can understand that mentality. For me, it's like, I agree, but, you know, making it in this space requires some form of sacrifice, because you have to be able to provide something. Now, maybe it's just me, but I want to be able to provide something for you guys, something so you can sit back, relax, and think. That's what this podcast is for. The videos every Tuesday is something that maybe you'll be able to laugh at. It may not be your style of video, right? You know, we got a second channel that I'm working on that I haven't uploaded in a while on, but over there the editing's gonna be just more cuts and moments. It's not gonna have the highly edited stuff. There'll be shorts with it too. You know, I want to provide something. It may not be for you. It may not be for the other person, but hopefully those of you, and if you're still watching this, I appreciate it. I hope you're getting something out of this too. We got a couple of other subjects we're gonna get into, but that's my little spiel on like how, you know, people's mindset is lately when they've been quitting, you know, losing motivation. And some people get downright depressed. They don't even know, you know, what their value is, because unfortunately we live in a society where value is matched to your follower count or your view count. And, you know, there's so many gems out there, guys. You just never know. You know, give people a fair shot. You'd be surprised the type of content coming out of smaller channels that is undiscovered. You know, I used to watch this guy before he was even at the sub count that he was. Let me see if I can remember his name. I think it was like Shogo, your friend in Japan or something. Let me look it up. Hold on. Yeah, that's this guy's name. Okay, I found the guy. So I was watching this guy, I think when he had like less than 10K subs. And his name is Let's Ask Shogo, your Japanese friend in Kyoto. Verified 1.68 million subs. Let me check when he started his channel. 2021. Started the channel July 10th. Yeah. So I remember he hit 10K January 4th, 2021. And I remember watching this guy and I was like, wow, like, you know, he already has what it takes to get there. And look, he gets there. And sometimes you'd be surprised, you know. You'd be surprised where somebody can end up. So just because you're at a certain place right now doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be from now on. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to have 1 million subscribers, you know, far from it. It may be quite the opposite, actually. I might not grow at all. But just because you may feel like your content isn't performing well does not mean that it's bad. There's maybe more you can do. Maybe there's more you can study, but I don't know, man. Like I said, this guy barely got, you know, 1,000 views at one point. He barely broke into the algorithm, and then dude just explodes in 2 years. And all he did was keep at it. You know, I remember he used to say like at the end of his videos, I want to hit 100K subs by the end of the year. You know, setting goals for yourself is helpful. You know, being realistic at the end of the day, it could prevent you from, you know, from getting upset about it, getting down. But I'm very happy with where we're at. I think God's going to put me exactly where he wants me to be, right? At the end of the day, he has a plan for me. He has a plan for you watching or listening, I should say. So if I'm not there yet, there's a reason for it. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty more I can learn along the way. And there certainly has been. You know, let's be honest. The journey has been very interesting. We've met some great people. We've met some not so great people. And we've met, you know, people that changed our opinions on things. And that's good. I think it's all part of the growth. I think if I got into a really high point early on, I can, you know, and I hadn't been through what I've been through in my life, I could definitely see myself being a lot more arrogant. You can probably have that opinion already about me, you know. This guy with 2K subs, he thinks his farts smell good and he wants to make his own podcast. I'm sure there's a lot of things you could say already. But I would say humbly, I am very proud of what we've been able to accomplish despite all that and all the things that we've learned, you know. I made a lot of mistakes, guys. I'm going to be honest. There's a certain way to do things. There's a certain way to conduct yourself on stream or conduct yourself off stream that, you know, sometimes you got to be careful with because you may hurt someone in a way that you shouldn't. And I'm not saying that I've gone out of my way to hurt people. That's not the case at all. In fact, you know, I'm proud to announce that there's very few times that I have done that. And most of the time, if I have, it's unintentional. I have no problem, you know, apologizing. But, you know, there's people that aren't my biggest fans. And maybe I could have spoken to them a little differently. Maybe I could have approached them a little differently. But, you know, I kind of already know now what to expect from people. And I'm glad that these things happened because what it taught me was that just because someone wants to work with you or wants to associate with you doesn't mean they have your best intentions. A lot of people are very envious. A lot of people want to bring you down. They want to change your mood and they get something out of that. And I'm really, really learning on not letting that happen. I need to get better at just responding to the positivity more than the hate, because let's be honest, like, this is the truth, and this is like what I learned now, right? Definitively, you know, now after a year after content creation, episode 25 of the podcast, the biggest thing that I learned was like, when people come in and they start like disrupting you, trying to bring you down, saying things just for attention because they'll say the most outlandish and negative thing about you, they're not supporting you anyway. So don't give them the energy, guys. You know, if you're a content creator and you're watching this, and you got someone who's like constantly sending hate, they're not supporting you. That's not support. Don't even give them your attention, right? You can roast them a little bit, you know, maybe say your piece, but I wouldn't make it deeper than that, because their interest lies in just spreading their own misery versus uplifting you and themselves and improving them, you know, being a positive force for the world. You know, it reminds me kind of like what Falcon said on episode 19 when we talked. He said his dad would tell him, you know, when he was talking to other people, he'd be like, okay, what does he want from you? You know, what are you getting from this? Because at the end of the day, conversations or collabs should be mutually beneficial, right? And I'm not gonna lie, man, like, I think there's another side to the story. I think there could be situations where you're communicating with someone and they may have nefarious reasons as to being with you. Insert whatever you want it to be, whether they just get a kick out of, you know, upsetting you, whether they just want to get something from you, they want to take dominion over you. I know Jali spoke on this when we did it live. She talked about how, you know, some people, they'll come into you with more subs, they'll come into your channel, and then they like kind of want to run the show. It's almost like they want to be your daddy. I mean, I don't know how else to word it, but, you know, is what she kind of explained. And I think there's a third side. I think there's a side where, you know, you can communicate with someone and there's a mutual enrichment for both of you, to where you both gain something and you both uplift each other and you both can grow from it. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's always just somebody wants something from you or somebody wants to run you. And then I think there's a world, and we'll talk about this when we get to the circle segment. I think there's a world where where everybody can eat. That's the world I see. Maybe I'm a little delusional. Getting back to the idea of what I'm trying to say on ignoring hate, I think it's better for the world and better for everyone that we only focus on people who are uplifting each other and give attention to constructive criticism, not criticism that is like lazy or not even well thought out or just plain old rude, because there's a lot of people that just do that. A lot of those people who will bring you down aren't even that funny. They're probably already miserable. They got nothing going on. And I understand. I can when I put myself in their shoes and I see their lives and what they've done and what they've been through, I can easily understand, and I can kind of see myself being that type of way. So just keep doing what you're doing. Be confident in yourself, in that you can provide something for the world, and don't allow people to take over your domain. You know, it's your space. It's your channel. And obviously, as long as you're within TOS, I think it's best to focus more on the good and to stand up for yourself and do the right thing. You know, be as honest as possible. I think people gravitate towards that. I get a lot of love. It's amazing. And I still stand by that. It's amazing the amount of love we get, the amount of respect we get, you know, outside of the trolls. People got called out, but it doesn't mean that, like, I can't sleep at night now. Like, you know, it's okay, man. We all gotta get our opinions out there and move on. I think that's important, because at the end of the day, there are people who have dedicated time to this channel, dedicated their viewership to this channel, and I gotta acknowledge them. I gotta give them that respect. And like I said, guys, I'm starting to learn that now. I know it's maybe not the best time to learn these lessons, but I'm glad I did now versus, you know, I'm at like 100K subs and I don't even know how to control myself, and I'm just I'm just getting upset at everything, which I'm not upset. I guess I don't want to portray the appearance that I'm like not in control of the whole, you know, the whole channel. We got some very amazing backing with, you know, both viewers, family and friends, and close ones, loved ones. they're all on board with this. They're all listening. They're all tuning in. And I'm glad that you as a viewer, if you're watching this, you're part of that family too. You know, they see you guys, man. They may not be saying anything, but they see you guys. You know, it means a lot. So thank you. But yeah, that's the whole spiel. TLDR, I guess I'm not gonna get down about content. I'm not gonna get down about the numbers. I'm not too worried about it. Guys, I'm just doing this for fun. Let the record reflect. Okay. If you ever forget where my mindset is on content creation, if you ever, you know, if you're one of those people and you see my videos or my podcast isn't doing well and you're like, man, you know, Yugi sucks, like, you can have that opinion, but I'm not too concerned about appeasing everyone. I'm not too concerned about, you know, breaking the mold or breaking into the sphere. I'm still in the process of learning. I still want to see where it is, how far I can take this. And this is just a part-time thing for me to do to enrich myself and to enrich you guys, you know? This is a safe space, I would say, right? As long as you're not harassing people, calling for violence, or being an absolute jerk, I think this can be a place where we can have discussions and talk about games. You know, that's the main subject. But we can dabble into real life stuff. You know, and we'll get into that towards the very end of the podcast with some very real stuff I want to talk about. But I want you to take this home. I want you to take this to the bank and realize and remember that. So if you're ever in doubt of me, if you ever think like, you know, and if you're one of the people who are on the other side of the coin and you think I'm like down or upset about my views or where I'm at, you know, don't be. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying learning. I'm still learning. And maybe one day, you know, we'll be able to break through and we'll be able to be a part of that upper echelon of content creator. But for now, we'll get there when we get there. Right now, we need to focus on ourselves and focus on improvement. So if you have any feedback that you'd like to give me, feel free. You think there's something more, something better I can do, I'd love to hear it. I'm all ears, you know. Keep it constructive and I'll listen. If not, we're just going to move on. I might roast you a little bit, but trust me, it's all love. It's best to not focus on that. It's best to focus on the people that actually support you. And it seems to be working well. So anyway, that's that for that segment. Let's move on to talking about getting raided by Jakerton. That was huge. So as it was happening, Chonk, who's been in my podcast before, was like a mod for everyone, came in and was like, Jakerton Raid. I couldn't believe it when I saw it because I didn't think there was any way that he would actually do it, which he did. Caught me off guard. I didn't even have any music ready. I didn't have anything ready to react to it. But when it was happening, I was still in disbelief. And we still have some people who actually tune in from that raid, which was very, very kind of him to do. And I've already got a podcast planned with someone who also has been raided by Jakerton. That's pretty freaking exciting. So being able to get into the perspective of someone else who, you know, has been through that scenario and is also making content, full circle, man. So big shout out to him, and we appreciate him for doing that. You know, I don't know what drives him to do that. I'd love to talk to him about it. I actually asked his mod and him, maybe get on one day. Maybe he will. You know, we'll see. But I'd love to get into his mindset on why he does that. You know, he didn't really seem to think about it too much. He kind of just does it, you know, and that's really nice. He doesn't have to do that. I like that he's having fun. Seems like that's what he's mainly doing. I caught him on like a Dr. Disrespect stream. That was cool. He was like a 5-month Champions Club member. I think Dr. Disrespect called him Jakerton, which was funny. But yeah, I mean, his community was extremely welcoming. Very wholesome, open arms to someone that they never met before, someone that they know nothing about. One of his bigger mods is like always like lurking in my streams, man, and I'm honored. Like, me of all people. It's just kind of crazy how God works and how, you know, people will be put into your life after scenarios that you feel like you maybe shouldn't be in, you know? Like, I left a lot of Discord servers because I'm gonna be honest, guys, like I didn't really feel welcome there. I didn't feel like that was my vibe. And so the fact that I got raided, then they put me in a server with other people who got raided. I reached out to them and I actually got a lot of responses. So look forward to, you know, hearing from more people in Jakerton's community. Love those guys. Chonk's a part of it. Big shout out to her. I know her Beardy's birthday was the other day, so happy belated. That's really cool. It's amazing what happens just from putting your stuff out there. You know, I remember the day that I got raided. I was already kind of tired. I think I just got off work. I didn't think that I was going to be raided, right? I just thought it was going to be a normal Fall Guys stream. right? It was a quick little Fall Guys stream. I was maybe going to do, it might have even been shorter that day, right? I was going to do it maybe for like, 2.5, 3.5 hours and get off, right? Not think anything of it. But that's the one day where, I got rated by someone with like an obscene amount of subscribers and viewership. And, it's amazing. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate him doing this. I appreciate that for one reason or another they decided to raid me. Shout out to the head mod. I think it's Killa. He suggested me for some reason, which I appreciate it. We're gonna get more people that he raided and more people from his community involved in this podcast. I'm gonna get to know as many people as possible. I think that's the point. But I can't thank them enough. So thank you, and I wish nothing but the best for him. I'd love to maybe one day personally talk to him and shake his hand. I can't get into it here, but I will say that I needed that at that time more than he realized. I'm not saying, constantly raid me, it makes me feel good. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just there's some context to it that I think is hard to explain right now because I don't want to get into it. I'd like to tell him personally, though. It's really nice to feel like you belong somewhere is the main gist of it for those, so you don't feel like I'm leaving you guys behind or leaving you in the dark. Just feels good to feel belonged. And I think that's important in both, the content sphere and in general, whatever you believe in, whatever you do, at the very least, you should feel welcomed. I'm happy to report that that's how I've been feeling in his community. So thank you. But yeah, moving on from that segment, guys, what have you been playing, man? I've been playing so many different games. There's so many things coming out. We got Spider-Man 2 coming out on October 20th on PS5. I'm sure a lot of you guys are excited. I am. That's a day one stream for sure. I even took off that day to play that. We got the Mario RPG coming out on Nintendo. Nintendo's been eating good. They got a lot of good games coming out. Been playing a lot of PC games. As you can see, Trepang in the background. Very fun, very engaging game. Makes you feel like an action hero. There's some horror elements to it that I had no idea about, which upsets me. But it was also a pleasant surprise because it was creative in the way they did it and the way they approach it. It subverts your expectations, and I do like games that do that. I think now, more than ever, good time to be a gamer. There's so much out there for you to enjoy. There's something out there for everyone. With Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, I feel like all the RPG heads got to eat real good. I haven't gotten to play it myself, but I can only imagine the depth and the amount of fun that you can have with that game. So I'm so happy to report that, gamers are very happy right now. we haven't really been too disappointed as of late. Some shaky launches with some certain games on PC. I know, Jedi Last Survivor was a bad one. MK1 on PC hasn't been the best for a lot of people, unfortunately. For the most part, outside of those two, there's maybe more. I would love to hear your guys' experience, but the gamer's been eating pretty good. We've been dabbling in all different types of things. I think if you're like a static gamer, right? Like, let's say all you do is like play Valorant. I'm envious of you, man. I wish I could just stick to one game. Or like Fall Guys, right? A lot of you guys just play Fall Guys who are in my streams, and maybe I envy you in a way. I don't get it, but I wish I could, because dang, man, there's just so many good things out there that I can't help but constantly want to play this, play that. I'm watching Tacti Gamer, so he's talking about these new games coming out. I'm like, man, I want to try that. I want to try this new, Ready or Not update. I want to try this new 6 Days in Fallujah update. Oh, look at this. A new update for, Valorant came out. There's a new character. Oh, I want to try that. It's just, it's hard for me to be focused, man. So I think eventually I'm just going to keep veering into variety, and I'm just going to keep making content, and it is what it is. Like, I'm having so much fun that why would I not spread that fun and idea with you guys? So definitely look forward to that. I think we're 100% going to be doing the entire playthrough of Spider-Man live. We'll probably make videos out of that, and definitely expect me to play it on the hardest difficulty, because we ain't scared. All right, I beat the last one on the hardest difficulty available in the beginning, so I'm going to be doing the same thing. So if you guys want to learn some tips or tricks, watch it live. I think you guys should tune in, man. I think you're really going to enjoy watching me play, because I don't know if you guys have this problem, but it's kind of painful to watch someone suck at a game. It kind of like hurts to see. So maybe that's why my Fall Guys viewership isn't that good, because I don't win a lot. I can make the finals, but winning is a whole different story, I tell you what. But for when it comes to other games, I'm not bad at all. I do relatively well, and I'm sure it's refreshing to see for some of you guys. So appreciate you tuning in if you do. on the other streams. Give it a shot, guys. Open your eyes to some other games. It's a good time to be a gamer, and I think I want you to participate in that joy, because we're at the point now where people are playing Resident Evil 4 on an iPhone. Like, what? What else is there to say? We gamers are eating this year, that's for sure. And speaking of gamers, let's get into the circle. What does it mean, how it was formed, and what's it mean for the future of the channel? The circle was just an idea that I came up with to give us all a name, because I feel like all the amazing people that I collaborated with, either both live on stream or on videos, I want to be able to continue to support them, and I wanted an easy way to kind of like keep track of them, so I came up with the circle. Funny enough, the whole circle thing, right? So at first I thought of Inner Circle, and the reason why I thought of it was actually Modern Warfare 2, the original, the OG, with Makarov's group. That was actually his terrorist group name, so it's probably not the best it's probably not the best origin story of a name. But I thought it was cool, man. I don't know, I like a good villain. That's a different podcast. I'm not glorifying bad behavior, okay guys? I just thought the name was cool, and I figured I'd take it and use it in a layered sense. So, you know, I'd give the title of Inner Circle to family members, people closest to me, and then the circle to, you know, affiliates that I have confidence in, that you can go to, and I know that they will welcome you with open arms and treat you with respect, as long as it's a two-way street, right? You go to them channels and you start acting crazy, you're gonna get handled, and I'm not gonna feel bad for you. But I know with confidence that if I, you know, raid V-Tice and I send all my people to him, he'll be welcoming them with open arms and respect, dignity, and a fun spirit. Same thing with Jolly, Falcon, right? If you want to see some good tech reviews, some gaming content, I know for a fact you can go to Bo Knows Gaming and you'll get something out of it. If you're into the FNAF stuff, if you want someone who's lighthearted and fun, you can go to Super Rocker, right? So all these people that I have listed, right? V-Tice, Super Rocker, Jolly, Falcon, Bo, right? People that I've worked with. I still do podcasts with Bo and Falcon. There's actually a clip of it already on the channel. You know, these people, we need to uplift each other. Like I said, that's kind of like I said in the beginning of the video, I think it's mutually beneficial that we all continue to communicate. The circle does not mean that I claim dominion over them just because I made the name, because I added them to it doesn't mean I own them. I don't own anyone. They don't have to talk to me for the rest of my days if they don't want to. But I'm just happy to have them on the channel endorsed. You know, if for some reason I'm not on and you're looking for someone to hang out with that, and you're not sure whether or not it may be safe to be there, I'm happy to report that those people in those channels, I personally love spending my time with all of them as much as I could, right? I got my own things going on, so it's been difficult, but every time I have gone to their live streams, I've been having nothing but a good time. Good conversations, good vibes, very fun moments. Love collaborating with all of them. I think there isn't a single person on that list that I have not collaborated with in one way, shape, or form, and you know, we've had amazing conversations, both live, on and off stream, and I want to be able to continue to support them. Wish them nothing for the best and want them to maintain their drive. I think human interaction is part of it, and the circle's just a symbol of unity, really. It's not dominion, it's not ownership. A circle is literally even on its one side, right? Even all across, you know, and I want to be able to help them out as much as I could. So I'm happy to have them on, and it's just more of a term of endearment. It's not an official thing, at least not yet. You never know, right? You know, it is something that I'm happy to have. I'm happy to have all of them. I'm happy to report that they're all very amazing people in their own unique ways. And I think if I as a person, right, because again, I tell everyone, I was a viewer before I was a content creator, right? If I as a person can gain something from just being around their presence, feeling their vibes, and feeling uplifted and having good convos, I don't see why I would keep that for myself and not share that feeling with all of you, right? I think it would be great if you all could share that same feeling and see for yourself what it is that I see in them, and maybe open yourself up to something that maybe you weren't sure that you wanted to. You know, like Jolly, for example, does a lot of Nintendo stuff. I don't really do much Nintendo stuff on my thing. So that's also helpful. I think Falcon's big into Nintendo as well. So having those different avenues help. You know, Rocker's a big PlayStation guy. V-Tice is, I think he's more Xbox, but I'm not too sure. And so is Bo. So, you know, having those different avenues, those different approaches, you know, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'd love to hear what you guys are into, and I'm sure they would like to too. And maybe they could happily accommodate you, especially on the Nintendo side of things, because I know a lot of you guys love playing with them Switches. A lot of you guys got that Nintendo Switch, so by all means, you know, hit up Jolly, hit up Falcon. They're Nintendo folks. They love that stuff. I gotta get myself one because I definitely want to play the Mario RPG. So I don't know if I'll be getting one this month or next, but I think it drops in like November, so we're like a month away, and my bank account's gonna be hurting. So we'll see. Yeah, that's the main gist of the circle, guys. Like I said, don't think too much into it. I think somebody says something like Yugi's building like the Justice League or the Avengers. I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, look, I'm happy to have them with me, and I don't claim any of them, but it ties back to what I was saying earlier of like feeling of belonging. Like, these people really made me feel that way. They've all been nothing but welcoming and supportive. It's quite fascinating, really, because it's not something that I really see a lot in real life. A lot of people are typically like to themselves. They don't really want to get involved with things. You know, JT, the last person that I had on the podcast, he worded it perfectly. We was having a conversation, and he said something along the lines of like, a lot of people are so non-confrontational that they would rather just let things be rather than get involved in it, right? So what's that mean? Like, a lot of people would just rather not do anything at all. They'd rather not collab at all. They'd rather not talk at all. I'm happy to report that that's not the case here. But it really makes me wonder, like, how many people maybe missed out on that opportunity on communicating with certain people because their own head talks them out of it, right? You know, Jolly kind of talked about it a little bit too. Like, she has ideas in her head, and then she talks herself out of it. And I think that's a shame, because everybody, at least that's in the circle that I've named, you know, is so open to working with each other that, like, it's just a nice thing to see. But I don't expect everyone to get along as well, right? Some people you just don't jive with. That's okay. You know, it's part of life. You're not going to get along with everyone, but I am happy and proud of the work that they do. I think they all provide something very good as upcoming creators, smaller creators. It's best that I think it's best that we continue to keep tabs on each other and continue to motivate each other, because you never know. You know, Super Rocker was on an absolute tear not too long ago. He still is. I mean, I think this guy's got something figured out that I've never seen before. And so continue to keep your eyes on them, guys. Pray for them. Wish them the best. Tune in once in a while. Check up on them. You know, show them some support. You know, we all got a dream that we're trying to achieve. And you got to be a little delusional for this stuff, you know? We're all a little delusional. Can we be honest? Like, you know, having us all do this, especially if you're trying to do this as like a career, right? If it's somebody like V-Tice, me, and maybe someone else that I'm not thinking of, but for the most part, I know Jolly, Falcon, and Super Rocker, they love to do this full time, right? You know, you could tell, but just by the way they conduct themselves, they're built for this. But you know, if you're doing it for fun like I and V-Tice, and you know, I guess it doesn't apply, but if you're trying to do this as a career, you got to be a little delusional. Let's be honest. You know, it's such an oversaturated market, competitive market. It takes a special kind of attitude to be doing this for this long and not see many results, because you won't. A lot of the big content creators who have made it will tell you there may be, you know, months, weeks, years before you see any type of like legitimate growth, because you're in a learning process. You're still breaking into the algorithm, and it's just crazy to think. So we gotta keep them motivated, and let's do that, guys. You know, they got dreams they want to fulfill, and I hope they do. I really do. I want them to. Nothing would make me happier than to see the entire circle, you know, pass like 100K subs one day. That would be, wow, history, man. Yeah, speaking of good people, I want to get into the charity stream winners. So for those of you who don't know, called out the Fall Guys community, and I said, hey, if you're a content creator, or if you're just someone who's willing to participate, I want you to live stream a win streak, and either I or someone else or yourself will pledge a certain amount of money to charity for you. It's amazing the amount of feedback I got, the amount of people who actually responded to the call to do this, to be a part of it. We're going to get into the total amounts. So for the winner of the win streaks for charity, with the highest win streak we got, is actually DMG Phonics. DMG got 15 squad wins, and he pledged 103 pounds, which is about $125 pledged to charity. So shout out to DMG. Congratulations, dude. Dude won the win streaks for charity. I'm going to be talking to him personally, because there's something I'd like to give him as a gift for his effort. In second place, we got Coach 4-Star with 11 wins. and it totaled $44, and he pledged that towards the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. You know, amazing story with that. He kind of gave into it a little bit on the stream that we did. He joined us, actually. Highly recommend you go back to his stream, hear it from his perspective on why he did that. I think that was a beautiful story. Maybe not in a way that it was a good thing that it happened, right? I'm not going to say that, but you know, him opening up about that and showing his drive towards that society and that organization was really, really cool. So thank you, coach. So I got 7 wins, and I pledged, and so did V-Tice. I don't know how the other guys did, but I tallied the ad revenue, the donations, and the dollar per win, and the total amounted to 115 donated to SOSA. It's an organization that helps people stay away from online predatory acts. That's the organization that I donated to, and I'm happy to report that, yeah, we did 115 after a 7-win streak. I only planned on donating $1. However, we got some help from some very generous people who helped donate to increase that amount to 115. So thank you to all those people who donated, all those people who tuned into the stream. Thank you so much, and adding to the ad revenue that was added to it. I know V-Tice did the same thing. I'm not sure about the other ones, but I'm sure they did as well. Did something similar. So thank you to all those. You know, every dollar counts, guys. When we total this up, as far as everyone that I know that did the challenge, we got over $400 donated to various charities. And I think that's amazing. As a Fall Guys community as a whole, I think we did something really good for the world. And I appreciate every single one of you who actually participated. This is amazing. You know, this is something that I wish I could do on my own, but as a group, I know we can, and we could have been so much more, and it will be, right? I think in the future, if we can get more people involved, I think it'll be a very good thing. Appreciate every single one of you who did participate. Hey, win streaks are harder than it looks, right? So it's quite impressive how well DMG Phonics did. Congratulations to him. Like I said, we'll be reaching out to you. I'd like to send you something nice for what you provided. I don't know, man. I don't think we can peak higher than this. I think this idea, I think this cause that we all did together as a community is probably one of the coolest things I'll ever do on this channel. So thank you so much to all of you who participated, who actually heard me out, who actually felt compelled to do this. Very cool. I think you all deserve a round of applause 100%, and let the record reflect that these people weren't deterred. Just like we talked about it earlier, you know, some people, they talk themselves out of things. These guys weren't afraid to step up on the plate and do something for good. So thank you so much to each and every single one of you. I thought this was a really cool idea, and I'm so happy that to have so many people participate. I think this was one of the, like I said, one of the coolest things we've ever done. So thank you. Yeah, this is a friendly competition, but a friendly competition for a good cause. So DMG's definitely got bragging rights for the next year. And if we decide to do this again, we'll probably make some official rulings, because some of you guys are doing your own things. I don't know. But you know what? I'd rather you do your own things and make it fun for a good cause than, you know, if it was like an official sanctioned event, right? So if it's going to be for charity, hey, I'm not going to roll shark you guys, right? So thanks again. Special shout out to all you guys. And special shout out to everyone who's still listening, who's still tuning in. This is an interesting solo podcast. You know, sitting here talking to myself is kind of weird, but I kind of like it. It's almost like therapeutic. So thanks for hanging out this long if you have. All right, last but not least, we got to get this out of the way. I want to talk about why I personally believe in God. This is the part where everyone clicks off. I'm gonna try to articulate this as simply as I possibly can. And I don't want you to feel called out. I don't want you to feel like you're getting sick of hearing this. This is just my personal opinion. Okay, you may feel like I'm wrong. You may feel like I'm insane. You may feel like I'm delusional, and that's perfectly okay. Like I said, this is just strictly my opinion, my conclusions, and I just want to put this out there. And maybe it will be of a benefit to the person who is listening. Person being you who made it this far. Thank you. So why do I believe in God? What's the point in that? How did I come to this conclusion? You know, I'll take you back all the way to high school. Say I was about 16, 15. I think 16 would be a more accurate number. And I was frustrated. I was frustrated at the state of the world. I was frustrated at not feeling like I had purpose. I had no idea what I wanted to do after high school, right? I was frustrated that I didn't know for certain. right? I was hearing so many different things, and this was still when the internet was relatively new. So there was like all different types of information you can get online. And I feel like nothing was really convincing me because I'm a very logical person, right? Something has to make sense logically to me. It has to be rationally explained, right? And some of you laughing like, oh, God isn't logical. That doesn't make sense. It actually does, in my opinion. I'm not saying that I can prove it here in a mason jar and have you look at it and say, look, there's evidence that God exists. I can't do that, but I can at least make it make sense in my own head. And the conclusion that I came up with is one of two things. And this is me. Right? I don't want you to feel called out. I don't want you to feel like this applies to you or that it applies to everyone. This is just the way that I personally looked at it. I came to one of two conclusions. It's either A, we're all here for a reason. We were created with purpose, right? Because we came from something, so we have to be here for a reason. Or B, this is all just a big mistake and it means nothing. Ultimately, right? Because we got to think, the universe was created at some point. Right? It was created. We have like concrete scientific evidence that there was a massive explosion that started. Obviously, we know that as the Big Bang now. But I sat down and I thought to myself, we're either here for a reason or we're here for no reason at all. It's either A, we were created with purpose and we're here for a reason and there was an ultimate creator, or B, we just happen to be here and any purpose that we make for ourselves is delusional, right? You're making your own purpose because there's no ultimate one. There's no reason for us to be here. It was just created, and whatever reasons we want to make up is just what we make up in our head. And I'm just not comfortable with that. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to be humble here, and I'm going to tell you that for me, it's just not good enough to just say, all right, I make my own purpose. Because I don't even know what I want to do tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Like, this whole week has been weird, right? I've been so tired. I just don't even know what I want to do with myself sometimes. I know I want to work. I know I want to do this, but like not having ultimate purpose and I just have to just figure it out on my own. I'm not comfortable with that. So trying to figure out what's the only rational explanation, the only one that it could be is a God. It has to be somebody who exists outside of this realm, right? Not within this realm. Because we live in a finite world. We live in a finite universe. It's eventually going to expire. So I would like to think that we're here for a reason. So that's kind of where I ended up. Now, how I ended up on Christianity is a different story. To me, it's the one that makes the most sense. However, we're dealing with concepts here that might not make sense to a lot of people, right? Whether or not life has meaning is a scientific argument, right? I think there are some truths that we know that are beyond science. If you need some examples, maybe we can get into it another time, but there's a lot of things that I have confidence in that I can't scientifically prove, right? Convictions that I feel mainly, right? Guilt, envy, love, you can just say it's a bunch of chemicals, but I think it's a lot more deeper than that. This is all mainly just my opinion, but it just never sat well with me, the idea that all these things that I'm feeling, all those feelings that I had, at the end of the day is just delusional biochemical responses of me telling myself in my own head, because if there's no ultimate purpose and we're not created with intention in mind, then what's the point of me feeling the way I feel? Why don't I just do whatever the heck I want? Why do I feel bad when for example, if I lie to someone, right? Why do I feel bad about that? Why does it bother me? Why do I feel bad if I hurt someone? Why does that bother me? Why does it matter if we're all just making up our own diluted causes? I could just make my cause whatever I want it to be, right? Versus if we're created with purpose, and I mean the cause is beyond me and I want to figure that out. With looking into research and Christianity and all that, I came to the conclusion that life does have an ultimate purpose and life does have an explanation. And I believe that explanation is God. Now, how I ended up on the religion I settled, like I said, that's a different story, but I'm thoroughly convinced after understanding what exactly God is, that he exists and he's real, because it's the only logical explanation to explain why we're even here. It has to be a being that exists outside of time and space, that is infinite, not finite, right? Because everything that exists here is going to expire. We're all going to expire. And it has to be someone who can exist outside of time as we know it. It's the only thing that could create a realm like this. And that is 100% the God of the Bible that we've been talking about for generations now, that we seem to act like we forgot, right? So I think we got a little too comfortable with the idea that such a being does not exist. I think it's actually very irrational to just assume that we're just here and we're just going to make our own calls, because if we do that, we'll get 99 different answers. I think I'm more comfortable with an idea that we have a created purpose. That's my rationale. That's why I feel like God exists. So again, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. I'm just saying that it's the only thing that makes sense in my head to me. All right. If there's another explanation out there, I'm more than open to hearing it. But it's never been a comfortable idea to me to just trust my own head and to think that I can make my own purpose. Because I'm telling you, out of the times that I've lived and the things that I've seen, we can get really chaotic with our own rules and what we think is right and wrong. And I never liked that, right? There's a lot of inconsistencies from person to person on what they think is right and wrong. And I just got tired of it. I was frustrated. I was not comfortable with that idea. And I wanted to settle and find something that just finally made sense. And that's the one that did. That's my logical conclusion. I'm not saying that it should make sense to everyone. It makes sense to me in my head. And how everyone comes to faith is different, right? You know, there's some people that they see Jesus Christ on their toast, right? Oh, look, it's an image of Jesus. I believe in God now. It may sound ridiculous, but does it mean that they're wrong? You know, it may sound ridiculous to me, but anyway, my point is, just because we come to a conclusion in different ways doesn't mean that we're wrong. Everybody comes to the conclusion of God one way or another. To me, it had to make logical sense. And this is more of a philosophical argument, so I'm not saying that it's scientific. However, you know, science is based upon finding reason. I think you have to believe that there's a rational explanation for things and a rational being who created it in order to discover it. These are complex ideas, and I don't expect the younger audience to understand it. I don't expect it, but I want to hopefully explain it in a way to where you can understand it. But basically what I'm saying is, how many times have you seen something that was weird, right? And the first thing you think of is, if you're a logical type person, right? If you're someone like me and you believe in rational explanations for things, you have to at some point realize that rationality is built into the universe in order for you to understand it in a scientific way, right? You have to look for rationality. So there has to be a rational way that things were created. Maybe I'm not the best at articulating this, but if you want to go around and you want to discover rational explanations, that there has to be. There are some things, though, that are just not rationally explained, and that would be called things like the supernatural. It doesn't mean that it's not real. It just means that it's a supernatural explanation that can't be explained through basic science. And in those things, those are spiritual things that exist beyond time and space, that exist beyond the physical. We have to be comfortable with the two things, and that's where I ended up. Two things can exist at the same time, and to just dismiss things because, oh, it's a supernatural explanation beyond what we know, right? Beyond what we see, and just dismiss it because there's no logical explanation. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, both scientifically and rationally. I think we have to take into account everything and be comfortable with the idea that just because something isn't rationally explained through science doesn't mean that we should just discount it completely, because these things do happen. Whether you like it or not, there are multiple stories that you can go out and hear where somebody will have cancer all throughout their body. They'll go out and say a prayer and come back to the same doctor, and then for some reason, the cancer is all gone throughout their body. There's no rational explanation for that, right? You can't. You're going to drive yourself insane trying to figure it out. And what do doctors say when that happens? The only thing we can conclude is that this was a miracle. These are doctors saying this, people who that science is the basis of their entire career. And sometimes they can't explain things that happen. So, you know, I'm at the point now where I'm just comfortable with that. And yeah, I think we have to do the same thing. And I had to humble myself going back to it. I had to humble myself when I was 16 and realize that there are just certain things that I can't explain, but I think I can come to a reasonable conclusion that this thing is explained by God. This whole being, the whole world, everything. While I'm not saying that I have a perfect understanding and grasp of it, it is a perfectly rational conclusion to assume that a God that exists outside of this realm could create something like this. Because I can't think of any other conclusions that would make just as much sense. There's multiple theories out there, but that's the one that stuck with me the best. And considering historical events like the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, I think that just further solidifies that conclusion. So I hope this maybe helps someone and enlighten you on maybe a concept that you didn't understand. But, you know, that's the only explanation that I can give for the universe. And that's the reason why I believe in God. So that's it for everything. That's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you tuning in. If you did, if you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like. Feel free to comment about absolutely any subject that we talked about on this podcast. I will be in the comments talking to all of you. Hopefully this should be out either before or after we announce who's the final winner of the charity win streaks for charity competition that we did with Fall Guys. And you guys can reference this podcast to kind of, you know, hear me talk about it. Otherwise, hopefully we should do another one next week. I can't guarantee it though. Things have been very busy. Things have been very hectic with me doing the content and the live streams. But I'm going to try my best to squeeze in as much as I can. So enjoy the rest of your week, guys. I hope to talk to you all soon. Hit me up on Twitter where I'm always running my trap. You should follow me on there. And you can kind of see more into, you know, my personal opinions if you felt like this is enlightening. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to leave it in the comments or send me a DM on Twitter. My DMs are open. So you guys have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Hopefully you should see this before then. So take care, much love, and appreciate y'all.